wavy beard.
90s to a T.
Yeah.
If I see champagne, I will call it champagne.
Oh, no, we've got so many good episodes to watch.
Oh, wait, I'm getting it. Nope, changed my mind. Boo.
This is funny until you have it.
No, but seriously, wave after wave of men.
In the future, there's an owl problem.
Sorry, but like, his name's Huge Ass.
Not
Did you listen to our podcast?
I'm sorry. The whales on the moon.
We carry a harpoon.
God damn, I hate that we said that.
Shut up and take my podcast.
Hi, everyone.
Hey, everybody. Hey, welcome. I was going for a nondescript accent. I went Italian.
I just want to point out that we counted down for 5 seconds with no idea of who was going to say
I
it.
was not. I like the spontaneity.
It's like improv at its best.
Oh.
That's how you do improv, people.
That's
Yep.
exactly how you do
Rule
it.
number one.
awkward silences.
Yes. Welcome, everybody, to Shut Up and Take My Podcast, the Futurama podcast. I forgot what I was going to say then.
Sean.
Oh, wait, take 2. Welcome, everybody, to Shut Up and Take My Podcast, a Futurama podcast that I haven't got one.
We're doing it live. Take 3.
Does anyone have one?
Where we buy butts and stuff.
I got it! Welcome to everybody to Shut Up and Take My Podcast, a Futurama podcast that speeds up and slows down the passage of time.
There we go.
I'm joined here by Phil,
If you're going to San Francisco,
by James,
With 1 soundboard and 4 microphones.
with Josh.
Beck is just the best sport about this ever.
And Sean.
So does the Planet Express crew just not do any business for a couple of weeks?
well, they've got other crew.
No, because they even took Zoidberg with them. There's like no one.
Hermes,
They took Zoidberg. That means a lot of work will get done without him there.
Hermes, Scruffy.
Leela. Not Leela. Amy.
No,
she went
Amy's
for it.
gone. So
Hermes and
oh, God.
the Professor.
The Bee Gees.
Scruffy.
the
Professor ain't gonna
Professor
go.
and Scruffy.
Professor ain't going
So
on
it's
a
just
trip.
Hermes.
You just
essentially.
Hermes by
Yeah.
himself.
Hermes and
Because
Scruffy.
Scruffy's perpetually on break.
Yeah.
Always.
Oh, imagine if he hired another crew.
Which he
like
always,
how the next
he
episode
almost
starts.
did. Yeah. We're up to season 3, episode 13, Bendin' in the Wind. Ooh, what is Bendin' in the Wind?
Blowing in the wind.
Blowing in the wind.
By
By Beck.
Bob Dylan.
Jesus Christ.
I was taking a
Christ.
Step in the Dark.
It's Bob Dylan's most famous song.
Oh, cool. I've never listened to anything by Bob Dylan.
How many roads must a man walk down before you can call him a
42.
man? 7. No, it's rhetorical, Dad.
8 then.
Director is, I've been saying his name wrong. It's not Huge Ass, but it's not Hugart. It is Ron Hugart. Hugart.
Like Gal Gadot.
Like Gal Gadot, actually.
Yeah, because everyone assumes
Go,
it's
go,
Godot.
Gouget.
Go Gadot.
Back from A Tale of Two Santas. This is amazing. So does anyone remember a show? So he directed one segment for a show back in the 90s called Kablam. Does anyone remember
what's
Kablam?
Kablam?
I don't think anyone will.
I remember the sound effect in with comics.
It was a sketch comedy
been
anthology
that bean I
show
had.
where the presenters were also animated, but the idea is that they would constantly show animations and sketches from like independent shows that are kind of outside the realm of normality. So my favorite was one called Action League Now, where it's just they used like toys and Barbies and action figures, and it was called Chuckimation, where literally sometimes it would just be them just throwing the figure into the frame. And one of them, it was like a bunch of superheroes.
Patented
One was
Chuckimation.
I forget his name, but like when they introduced him, it was like He-Man or whatever his name was. He's super strong and super naked. It's like Melt Man with the power
to
melt.
I know that joke.
Know that joke.
I know
Yes.
that joke at least.
Watch Action League Now. It's great.
Yes.
There's another show called Prometheus and Bob, and it was a claymation of this alien called Prometheus, and he filmed himself trying to teach this caveman called Bob to do things, and there's no dialogue. It's writer Eric Horsted, back from Bendless Love, and just because I feel like it's probably the greatest sitcom that ever was invented, Sean Saves the World is one that he wrote for.
Okay.
Oh, I wonder why.
Just because it's accurate. Yeah.
I've never heard of that.
It was a vehicle for Sean Hayes from Will and Grace fame.
Okay.
And
Which
it
one was
survived
Sean
for
Hayes?
a full total of 14 episodes.
Oh, so he didn't save the world in the end.
No, he didn't.
The world
He came close.
got him.
Is he the main guy in Willis?
Sean Hayes?
Is he
Yeah.
Will?
Yes.
Oh,
his
so he's
name-
Will in one.
Okay.
Yeah. No. Just Jack.
Oh, he's the cool guy.
He's the cool guy.
That's a lot of spit on the pop filter.
Yep, that's what it's there for. Air date, April 22nd, 2001, introducing Beck. I have no fucking clue about anything about Beck. I'm on
Beck
the
is
same
great.
boat as
Yeah,
James.
I'd never heard a Beck song until you just played it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about him personally.
I
his
know.
personal life. I know that he's a kind of, as they joke in the episode, pseudo half folk
kind of alternative rock.
Alternative rock artist.
Spoken poetry song thing.
It's so good because he's the one who's making most of the jokes at his own expense.
Yeah,
It's like
yeah.
Shatner appearing in anything nowadays where he's like, I'm just making fun of myself. It's like, Beck is a good sport.
But
Get on Beck.
that's one of the notes he gave them after the first draft. He's like, can we make more jokes about me, please?
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Like he wanted to be more self-deprecating.
I think he's known for having a good attitude, you know, and just being fun and funky and weird.
And we share a birthday. He was born on July the 8th. So
there you go.
Not the
Nice.
same year,
Yeah.
I'm assuming.
Your birthday or one of ours?
My birthday.
Okay. I do.
I thought
Are you
saying-
born
I
on
thought
July
you-
the 8th?
Yeah, I thought you were saying like I thought you knew Phil's birthday. It's like, oh, you share a birthday.
Oh, we
And
share
it's
a
like,
birthday. Unrelated.
We're very close, but we don't share one.
We are. Should we
You know what?
skedaddle onto a particular thing that we usually do at this point
Yeah,
of the
do you-
podcast?
Tell everyone what happens in this episode?
Yeah, I think we
In case
should.
they
I was thinking
somehow
G.I.
forgot.
Joe, but okay.
Time for the plot by Phil.
Fry and Bender are walking through the city and they find someone digging a big hole and a V-dub van comes out of it, which Fry instantly adopts as his own. And when they go to fuel it, Bender gets mangled by the giant can opener and breaks his arms and legs. But luckily in the hospital, he meets Beck, who says, hey, take these tiny arms and be a washboard player using the slices in your abdomen. So he goes on tour with Beck, with Fry, Leela, and Amy following as groupies.
Zoidberg.
And Mr. Zoidberg.
And sorry.
Doctor, sorry.
Dr. Zoidberg following as groupies. And it all culminates in a big benefit concert for damaged robots.
And that was the plot by Phil.
Plot by Phil. I don't think that's going to catch on.
Did I
but-
miss anything?
We'll just keep doing it.
No,
Bender miraculously heals.
Yes.
No spoilers.
Oh,
Snape kills Dumbledore. That's my spoiler that I go to every single time.
So what do we think, guys?
Pretty good.
Oh, yeah, I
Pretty
had
good
great fun. I had
episode,
great
yeah.
fun watching this
Good
episode.
fun episode.
Oh, I love this episode.
There's a lot of like questions I have about it, but I had a lot of fun. Yeah.
Like for
Yeah.
like a B plot, it's so tied in.
Yeah.
Like
Wait, was there a B plot?
the B plot is them selling beads.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
The bead plot.
and trying to survive. I guess just on the road as groupies.
They're all trying to exist like Zoidberg does.
Yeah.
Normally.
Trash.
Also, Zoidberg says he's too poor to follow a band around in a van.
Also, best part, Zoidberg realizes that he's useful.
Yeah, he teaches them.
Yeah, and it's
to
just, I love
scrummage.
no, even more than that. He's like, I've been making fine jewelry for years, apparently.
The funniest thing is when they're at the first stop and it's at that little shed or the shack or wherever it is in the barn, and everyone, Fry, Leela, and Amy are all like grooving along to it. Zoidberg has this blank expression on this face, and he's only half-heartedly. He has no idea what the fuck he is or what he's doing. He's just going along with it.
That is Zoidberg to a T.
Yeah.
Even speaking of T's, he's got one of the best lines in this episode.
It's
It's
tapping.
toe-tappingly tragic.
Yes.
Also, like
Bender has
Yes,
written down.
that was my notes as well.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
the return of the return of the can opener and the return of the reference to him being a folk singer very much at the same time as well. It's like
Now the can opener is back from when? Is that when he goes down into the mutant territory? Start of season 2. Is that when the can comes back?
I was actually Googled it halfway through the episode and I was like, when did the can opener first appear?
I feel like when Nibbler gets that massive kibbles and snouts and that gets open, I forget.
It's a big can of kibbles and
there
snouts.
there was a picture I saw of like cat food on it. So it was a cat food container going on it.
Yeah,
so.
that was the kibbles and snouts. I can't for the life
I can't remember
of
which
me.
episode it's from.
I know it was the start of season 2, which is
Yeah.
our mutants. Oh,
You have a fact checker, don't you? Who like constantly tweets in. So it's like
Elizabeth. yeah.
Yeah, she'll tell
Elizabeth,
us.
hi,
Our
it's
singular
Josh.
fan.
Can you please like tell me which episode it is?
Please help us.
Please.
But yeah, it's
No,
like
just
a
me. Just me. I don't help any of them.
the can opener as a recurring character. Yeah. It's kind of
And also Bender's horror of it. Like he's immediately looks at it and he's like, no.
It's like the best scene because they're just like, you can do it. You got to face your fears. Then he has like the worst workplace accident you could possibly imagine. And he's like,
I really like that
grinding.
shot, which is just his
The
dangling
sparks.
legs
And
and
the
the sparks,
sparks.
and then
The
their
horror.
reaction.
And his eyes. I love whenever his eyes spritz out like because of magnets.
Because of magnets,
It's
yeah.
just like
None of them apologize to him, and it is totally their fault.
Yeah.
They forced him to do that.
And also, no one like rushes to shut off the machine.
No.
Someone press
too
stop.
dangerous. Nah.
it's a question with this because we've talked about it before that robots have rights. And we've talked about how robots have that level of like rights. But the moment that they're broken, it's like, no, we're going to destroy you.
Get a new one.
Yeah, and Fry's the only one that like audibly says, maybe not.
Oh, Bender in the hospital as well, truly just turning into homicidal rage. It's just like, obviously not, or I'd be strangling you. Oh, would somebody kick his ass?
On that note,
it is a clown doctor.
Yeah. Oh, it's a Robin Williams parody.
Maurice LaMarche's impersonation of Robin Williams. Is that a good impersonation or a bad one?
is deliberately like that because The Simpsons have him appear as Robin Williams again in like the Best Teacher episode, and it's like making fun of Dead Poet Society.
Yeah.
And I think they chose that just because you can tell it's not Robin Williams,
Yeah.
but at the same time you're like, it's pretty close. It's better than the Billy Crystal from
Yeah,
Lobster
because
Taker.
it was almost like he was doing a subdued Robin Williams. It was like he was going, I'm just going to do the accent. And it was more like, it was less about his voice and his intonation, the way he says
Yeah.
words.
I think they don't want to lean too hard into it. I
Yeah.
think it's enough.
I
You know,
love-
the name's already there.
I love the his wheels though, the
Oh, yeah.
bouncy, half inflated.
Oh, and like the
They're
spokes,
clown shoes.
Yeah, and,
Yeah,
and the
yeah.
spokes have the red clown shoes in
Yeah.
them.
and he's like, get well soon. Or maybe to see it.
Oh yeah, Patchcord Adams is a great little character in this.
Patchcorn, that's right.
That's a sad movie, isn't it? Like
Patch Adams, yeah.
Like, isn't it like he's working with some woman and she goes and gets murdered?
Yeah, she
or
gets
something?
totally straight
Yeah.
up murdered.
Well, he starts in an insane asylum at the beginning of the film as well.
Does he?
Yeah,
yeah,
can
it's
barely remember
darker
it.
than people probably recall it being.
Yeah.
So you can't be like, oh, I'm in for a comedy tonight. Yeah, Patch Adams. Oh man,
There's great bits in the middle.
Okay, so I was trying to
double feature with a 1 hour photo.
I was trying to figure this out. So Bender's broken,
Yes.
and he can't move anything.
His
But-
hydraulics are busted.
But the second he gets little arms,
Yeah.
he can move them. So doesn't that kind of say that if we just replace bits and put like he'd be
Yeah, I mean,
fine
he
again?
should just be repairable, right?
Yeah,
He's
yeah,
a robot.
like how does it work? Or like based on what works and what doesn't, just screw his head off.
Sean, let's go even further than this.
Put his head on
He
something
went
else.
Put it on another bending unit.
Sean, let's go further than this. He's a robot, right?
Yeah.
Robots get repaired, right?
Yeah.
Why is he at a hospital? Let's just stop there. Let's just focus on this. And also, why is Beck's head getting put on a mannequin?
Bender, I was thinking about he found it in a 92-cent store, and then he like went to a hospital to get it done.
And the doctor has a welding mask. He just welds it on.
It's like,
Just
is that what
casually.
you are holding up a bed that could be used for something more important.
Oh, man.
I hadn't thought they just take him to a hospital.
He's got folk money.
Everything at that part is like the biggest suspension of disbelief ever. It's like, yeah, Bender's in a human hospital with Beck, and Beck's all right enough to be in the same ward as a broken robot. Let's just move
Yeah,
on.
what is that ward? Like, it's not, is it ED? But he's just having something cosmetic done.
Also, on a
it's
slight eagle eye animation error, there is a point where like Fry's standing there and the curtain's already opened, and then it cuts back to Fry and the curtain's closed again, and then it opens when everyone leaves and Beck's there. So it's like,
Yeah, the doctor comes in and
but that
takes it
curtain
back.
moves a couple of times.
This is your new thing on,
That's what I'm here for.
Shut Up and Take My
But
Book.
in the future, there are sensor curtains, and if you go near them, they move. Yeah.
I would rather talk about the fact that you could just replace parts of Bender than a curtain moving. I think that's a bigger point. I think needs to be addressed.
With the sci-fi stories, how there's a whole thing of you never see toilets on a in a sci-fi show on a spaceship.
Yeah.
Have we seen a toilet in Futurama yet?
Good question.
Oh yes, because Bender flushes himself down the toilet.
Yes.
we have. There we go.
and Bender is a toilet.
And
As proven in previous episodes.
I want to speak. You were talking about dark themes.
Dark themes.
This is a disability themed episode.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's what this episode is about. It's about valuing the more vulnerable or broken, in inverted commas, people in society. And I think it handles it in quite a nice way. Yeah, Bender is a giant fraud.
But he didn't intend to hurt or help anyone.
Yes.
Hey,
but-
he didn't know. He thought he couldn't move.
Yeah, I mean, initially, like his empathy comes from a place where he thinks he's one of them. He thinks he's broken and he can't function anymore, and he's being cast out. There's this real empathy of like, oh, we have to help these people. It sucks for them, and I like that it's addressed in that way, but not being like, hey, we're talking about the disabled in this episode.
No.
It's just is.
is.
It's just is, and it's just a nice vehicle to look at that issue and not sort of say anything specific about it. But
The
just-
message is clear without being super preachy.
Yeah.
It's not. It's not muddled or confused like the last couple of episodes we've seen. Where like, what is the message? Like Bugalo, what the hell is the message here?
Yeah.
Interestingly enough, like even once Bender gets his movement back, he's still the reason he intends to be a fraud is because if he doesn't, they don't get helped. They don't get the 14 grand. Like it's still
Which he tries to steal.
Well, he's like, I've burnt all these bridges. May as well just steal it.
But up until that point, he's still doing it for moral reasons.
Yeah.
Like he's still doing it
He should
for
have gone
the
the extreme
robots?
route and been like, Fry, you need to cripple me.
Yeah. Oh, that would have been
For the good of them and my career, you need to break me.
It would have been hilarious, like kind of flip, like in the episode where Fry drinks the Emperor, and it's like it's in his stomach, and like
Yeah.
kicking the crap out of him so he can like cry it all out.
Oh, yeah.
Flipping that, and it's just like Fry remembering that, and it's like we could beat you up.
brings the can opener back in. No.
I do like that after commercial break when he's just discovered that he's fixed. And he goes, it's a miracle.
And like the little arm, like his arms are waving, and his little arms are like, no.
The whole thing with the tiny arms, I find satisfying all the way through
Yeah.
the episode. It is glorious.
Because they do kind of sometimes convey two emotions at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, there's another thing with tissues. Last week's episode, it was him blowing his nose. This time, it was him taking a tissue to dry his eye.
And also, he smells them coming up. Like, I've just...
Yeah.
Bender just has smell.
Yeah,
but he
he
doesn't
can
have
smell.
taste. But he still eats.
Yeah.
When he's at Elsa's.
Doesn't he prefer certain kinds of beer, as in the last episode?
And he also needs to zoom depending on focus.
Oh, yeah.
Just
Like
zoom into that.
he doesn't have parfocal vision. He needs to actually focus in the exact.
Well, that's why he usually moves, but now he can't move. His eyes have to do all the work.
And we got a Bender function of the week as well.
The
Minibar.
Minibar.
I
Yes.
was about to say the ability to eat chips and then produce them into bricks.
Yeah, he can
also-
build
I
houses. He can
guess
build a lot of
he-
houses.
I guess being a washboard is kind of a function that he has.
Also, I've noticed that the chips that they discover, right, are the
Same as-
exact same as what Scruffy had the
Yeah.
week previous.
Yes. I
So
noticed that
either
too.
Yeah.
Scruffy's eating 1,000-old chips, or they have not changed their label in 1,000
Or
years.
Scruffy is a time traveler. That's why he's on break.
Because I remember,
could be
I
very
was like,
possible.
didn't we? Like, I swear we saw those chips before, and then I'm like, it's like 1,000 years. I'm like, they can't be that old. What the? They're just,
also-
we don't, screw making a new.
We
chip
learned another
packet.
fact about the world that petroleum is gone because it was unclean.
In 2038.
38.
It was an environmental disaster.
Yeah.
So now
But
they
It's
use
actually not that far away from us.
Whale oil. I love its
Mobile
mobile dick.
Mobile dick.
Yeah. I was like, that is clever. And also, like, there's even with the combi van right at the beginning, and like throughout the episode, there are so many good jokes about the combi van and in the combi van.
Yes, I do like a lot of those.
Yeah, it's just also like it only goes up to 80. It can't go faster than 80,000 miles the speed of past the speed of light. It's like what? Like what?
I think it's just 80,000 miles
Yeah,
an hour.
8,000 that's it. 8,000 miles a mile. I was like, Jesus. And also two really good little music jokes in there. Which
The Led Zeppelin.
Yeah, Led Zeppelin and a Jefferson Starship. And it's like these are nice little jokes that a majority of the people wouldn't get. But like
There's a-
I didn't get the Jefferson one, so there you go.
A Jefferson Airplane and Jefferson Starship.
Yeah.
No.
You don't know those bands?
No.
So
I know Led Zeppelin.
Somebody to love.
Oh.
Don't you need somebody to love?
Stop! You'll be sued.
No. We
fair
didn't
use,
sing
we'll
it
sing
anywhere near as close.
And also
You
White
noticed
Rabbit.
it was out of pitch.
White Rabbit.
White Rabbit?
White Rabbit. Go ask Alice. I'll play you afterwards.
Okay. I didn't know that
Musical education for sure.
Yeah,
I
Coming
have
up.
zero musical education.
There's also a Christina Aguilera joke in there as well.
It reminds me of the Marissa Tomei joke from Let's Stop Entertainment. It's like, it's clearly from the year 2000, but it kind of holds
Just still works.
Well, it's funny because
Like in a
Christina
few
Aguilera
years, no one
became
remembers.
more famous after that point.
After
Like
that,
she
yeah,
really
yeah.
hit it.
Yeah.
in-
She's kind of dropping out now.
Yes.
But yeah.
She hasn't done anything in a long time.
Was she like a host on like that's
The Voice.
like
Probably.
The Voice,
Voice
wasn't
America.
it? Yeah, that was
That's when you know you're starting to.
the Paula Abdul route.
Well, there's Farnsworth says something. It's always great when he just butts in, just that right level of button.
Are you saying the joke about where's the button to
Oh, that yeah, the
speed and slow the passage?
where's the
of time?
device to slow it? Yeah, it's like right here, bong. Where's the other one? It's like where Fry's like, oh, just put some oil in it. Wrong again, idiot. It's like,
He's gone
I
back
don't
to
think it was wrong to begin
insulting. And the other thing with the bong joke is that the way they got away with it is in the script they referred to it as the crazy bottle.
Right, so they just drew a bong, but in the script it's
Yeah,
It
called
says crazy bottle.
fine.
That's great.
That is
How
such
as
a
a
good
censor
joke.
you would not just be like, that's a bong. That's going to be a bong.
You can't cut showing a bong though.
Oh, FCC have done a lot worse to a lot less.
I mean, isn't it a post-watershed program? It's not like
Still, like,
Is it
you
all
think about
ages?
what gets cut from, like, The Simpsons and Futurama
Yeah.
and
Well,
stuff. Even Family Guy.
here's the
Although,
thing.
Yeah, but so Bender just got like brutally mangled. Like,
He's a robot.
But that's a robot. It's fine. You know, it's not a.
he can't. He
Here's
can't,
the
he
thing,
can't
though.
move anymore.
You bombard the sensor with
bombard.
yeah, quite literally. I know some people who've worked on some shows who sneak things in.
Who exactly and snuck what?
Do you remember
Incriminate them
Do you
now.
remember the show The Fairies? It was like a kids show.
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
Is that still around?
Yes. The thing is, I know some people who work on that. I know for a fact that they bombard the producers and everyone on it to the degree that some Star Wars references and some Arnold Schwarzenegger references get through into the final episodes. To the same degree with this, if they wanted to get a Bong reference through, they probably would have put like, here's some things obviously need to be removed, here's some things obviously need to be removed in the script deliberately. So
Yeah.
it's like, this is the one thing that remains, and they'll read like crazy glass bottle, but then there'll be like something about like a weed reference, and they'll be like, "Oh, just remove that line. Like, we don't
Yeah.
want him referring to weed." It's like, sure thing.
And then again, it's like you imagine if that mentality was put for the first few episodes, where imagine what had to be taken out for them to keep in the suicide booths.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Genocide. And
It's really
very
genocide.
dark, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
The suicide
Yeah.
movie.
but overall, I love this. I really enjoy this episode. And you know
Yeah.
what? It's one of the catchiest songs so far in Futurama that I have.
Yeah.
Oh, his
My Broken Friend.
Broken
Yeah.
friend. Yeah.
And then he
I
starts
love
dancing.
his dance as well. It's so funky.
That's
My showmanship.
That's the most
starts
Bender's
bouncing?
moved ever.
Yeah. He like coils himself
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
unspins
Yeah,
and
exactly.
leaps through the
He's-
air.
He went from being like, I can't move, to doing all of the movement, every move
the
imaginable.
most limber robot ever made.
Also, best folk singer joke ever of Cylon and Garfunkel.
Cylon and Garfunkel. Oh,
Phil
my
could
God.
not handle Cylon singing.
Oh, that is so. It's so
We
good.
do.
Are you going to Scarborough Fair?
Sweet pea, rosemary, and thyme. Oh,
I love the pun and then
Yeah.
the follow-up joke of his singing voice. And the just fact that he just appears in the rest of the episode, like wheeling back around. He's just there.
And
this
the
has been a
transition
very
shot.
emotional day for me.
It's great because it's like they're singing and you get that joke, and then they're transitioning to I think it's
Leela
like the B plot, like
Yeah,
that,
yeah.
and you can still hear him singing
background.
in the background. It's like,
That's because
Still
like,
just as jarring to the
like the A and B are so tightly
Connected.
compact together.
there is
Yeah.
a plot in
Yeah,
this
because
episode.
like B relies on A, because B's just following A.
They're just
on its
literally
journey.
following.
Yeah.
But that's where it works the best, isn't it? Is when you can have a B plot because they don't need to be the central focus because there's thematically Bender's having the story with disability and to the Band-Aid and everything else. Have the B plot like just beside it, and that's when you get just the most out of it because they can still
or trailing
interact.
slowly behind.
Yeah.
Oh, and also the smoke coming up. Behind it.
And how they're subtly making a comment about the environment there as well as just like fuel is just cascading
in the
everywhere.
hippie van, right? Yeah.
And the map goes from being like American states to the obviously new American states. Like it's like user something.
user idea. hub.
yeah.
West
like-
Virginia
it's like
and East West Virginia.
50 cow?
And then there's like a
That's California.
and there's like a nuclear fallout, like
Nuclear Vada. I think.
Nuclear Vada, that's it.
yeah.
It's also interesting as well because you can clearly tell that everyone's predisposed to immediately hate Zoidberg no matter what he does. With Amy, it's like, you, hey, this looks really nice. Yeah, I'm used to it now. It's like everyone is just so used to hating on Zoidberg.
That is so disgusting. Are those pearls?
Yeah, exactly. Oh, you're touching them.
There's quite a good like line in hippie jokes.
And also like deep south, like bumfuck nowhere, like hick jokes.
Hick jokes.
Yeah.
First time that gelatinous blob was not gelatinous blob.
Different-
Clearly
different
as a
gelatinous
different
blob.
southern gelatinous blob.
You can tell because his hat is different and he's wearing overalls.
We don't like your kind around here.
We're like these guys.
I think my favorite is the quick one-shot joke where they go, "Can we stay in here? The colours in the van are keeping us awake."
Yeah, it's the question of, is it just like residual hotboxing in there?
It's just like just
But
tripping out.
But then they
in
show the inside of it, and there's just so many beads
beads
and colors.
and
It's like-
everything. Yeah.
Also-
and doesn't Zoidberg say something interesting about when they open it up? I can't remember what his line is.
with the minibar.
Yeah, no, where they open up the van for the first time, Fry's showing them in the van,
Oh,
and he's
goodness.
like, "Oh, it's like a free."
No, that's Hermes.
Is it Hermes?
Yeah.
Where he says something about how wonderful and free it makes
Yeah,
him
yeah, yeah.
feel.
Oh
to
yeah,
look
it's got an aura of freedom or something.
Yeah. Something like
Yeah.
that.
It's something
it's
along
an
those lines.
oxymoron. I can't remember.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
yeah.
Also,
That was very interesting.
also just like the clear 2000 mentality and 3000 mentality, and there is that common ground there. It's like with Sal, it's like, yeah, you can have it if you get rid of the bodies. Like, yeah, I bought used cars before. It's like, time doesn't change that much.
Once again, Sal, millionaire.
Yeah.
I want to start
I'm
keeping
gonna
track
go
of
with the
how
idea
many
that
jobs he
he's
has.
a clone.
I like to.
Yes,
I think
and
Sal
that
is
might
a
be
clone.
right.
He's everywhere.
Yeah.
And that's
Sal's
like
Every
really funny.
manual kind of
Yeah.
construction-y factory
That's
kind
the-
of
that-
job.
that's-
Every
Yeah.
blue collar job.
I'd say
Is a Sal.
Is a Sal.
Buy a Sal.
robots did have the menial jobs that like were nothing, and then they discovered cloning, and they could make Sals, and they just made so many Sals that
That sounds like
robots didn't have
such
to
a
work
good,
anymore.
such a marketable name.
And you know-
buy yourself a Sal.
You know who would be doing it as
Why
well?
would you make
It'd be
him-
Mum's secret cloning facility. It would be like
Were you going to ask why you make him such like a fat slob?
because this is the thing.
Clone this guy, yeah.
This is the thing.
the pinnacle of humanity.
The fat slob, confident in himself, and he's so up himself, but at the same degree, he's not threatening, and you can
Oh,
easily
he's
put
quite
him down.
threatening.
But
He
he's
pulled
easily-
a knife on Fry.
but he's still got his ass handed to him.
but was
the
that
thing-
the real Sal?
Yeah.
The
He's
first
always
one?
doing his job, though.
There are defective Sals.
Yeah.
Some of them are more
What if
homicidal.
the real
than
Sal
They're
doesn't?
cheap.
What if the real Sal doesn't know he's been cloned? And every now and then he just sees like
He's probably
Another
He's
Sal.
probably in a hospital right now. For freaking
Can
out.
we pitch an episode of like a Blade Runner esque plot, but they're all Sals?
Sals.
Sal Runner.
Oh, this is our fan fiction portion of the podcast.
It's maybe the most disappointing attempt at a pun I've ever heard you make, Sean.
What Sal Runner? I wasn't even trying.
Yeah.
Fuck it.
What are those continuity sort of like logic questions that between the point where they go, "This is a hover bridge. This isn't a hover car." They have lots of time to stop. Like,
Or turn.
so much time.
Yeah, there's 4 lines in that as well, even with Fry.
Just don't
So, is that a problem? It's like, only if you've lived a life without regret.
This whole time,
they drive
well, that's because Ben is like, "Well, I'm going to survive."
Oh, yeah. I'll save me. He's immediately going to like throw them under the bus.
It's like, I survived. Let's see if you can.
And of course, he lands on that woman, and she's
Yeah,
fine.
she's fine.
She's fine. He falls
and
from
also-
a
So in the
great height.
original script for that, she doesn't move, and then they realize that kind of insinuates she's dead.
Dead.
It's like we should probably just make her like get up.
yeah, as like I turned to James and I said afterwards, I'm like, Bender only weighs 500 pounds when he needs to weigh 500
Yeah.
pounds. It's really like he hits the
been hollowed
Volkswagen
out, right? So-
Yeah, he hits the Volkswagen, and this is probably just a sign of how old cars are super heavy and made of like real tough stuff. Because Bender bounces off of it and lands in and doesn't damage anything
Nothing
at
gets
all.
damaged.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, Fry pushed the combi van all the way to Planet Express when Bender was in the front drinking.
Also, he removed that headband from a hippie corpse.
Yes, he
he's
does.
wearing a corpse band at that point.
It's like at this point,
It's free.
I'm
Yeah, it's free.
I'm
He bought the
cycling
car.
through
All
Bender's
inside is
morals.
his.
Like he has an arm in his chest. He's got the whole body of the Prime Minister of Norway in his chest. Is my theory. He has no problem dismantling corpses.
This is honestly a very good episode.
It's got a bit of Beck's music in it.
Yeah.
I like Beck's music. It's good. And
I might
don't overdo
watch
it.
some Beck. I might
Yeah,
listen
do
to
it.
some
Do
Beck
it.
now.
He's a Scott Pilgrim soundtrack. He worked on that. So there's a couple of the songs in that he sings. So you can actually download. There's like he sings "Garbage Truck," which is the first song that they sing in Scott Pilgrim.
Another film I need to go back and watch.
He's got that. My favorite joke is him, as we said before, him delivering a joke that's at his own expense.
Yeah.
Where he says, "Oh, if you feel bad, just write a song about it." I think that's what sets it up. And he goes, "Just like when I wrote Devil's Haircut, it's about." What is that?
And it's like there was a chance there as well at the beginning, and I was trying to remember, and I was like, oh, this could go one of two ways. And it's like Bender says, like, oh, you're Beck, you're transcending genres while redefining them, and it's like, okay, that's a super big compliment to Beck.
Yeah.
Is this just going to be like sucking Beck's dick for like the entire episode? And
Beck
it's like-
wrote
and then-
it.
Yeah, and then immediately it was just like. Nope. It's just this big, and it was something I was thinking about as well, because it was a point that you made, Sean, when you were like saying that you don't like it when they bring in celebrities as like straight celebrities, and then they don't really do anything with them.
No,
if
it's
you
just
bring-
for the sake of
If
having
you
a
bring
celebrity.
in a celebrity, they have to be a parody of
Yeah,
themselves.
exactly.
And this
But
is
they bring it back.
inextricably tied to the plot
Exactly,
too.
that's what I thought. Like, because I was thinking about it, I'm like, I think Sean will like this. This will be the exception to the bringing
Yeah.
a celebrity playing as a celebrity.
I mean, if you're going to use a celebrity and have him be that celebrity, fucking use him and make him like similar to how, if you were to get Christopher Walken in, you would make it a parody of himself or a parody of the parody
Good
that Christopher
night,
Walken
Moon.
has become.
Good night, children. Stop scooching.
Scooch forward. I said, I'm serious about the scooching.
And it makes logical sense, right? Because it's a running thing that Bender likes folk music. The reason that he becomes a folk singer when he has a magnet on his head is because it removes his inhibitions, right?
Yeah.
And so he does whatever he wants to do, which is be a folk singer. The choice of Beck is not just arbitrary. They could get him. He's like a funky folk singer, like he's an alt folk singer. So the choice to have him in isn't just like, oh, we could get Beck. How do we make him fit the plot? It feels organic.
To be a fly on the wall in that writers' meeting, because it would have either gone the way of like, okay, we want to do like a folk singer episode with Bender. Let's try and get someone in. Oh, Beck wants to do it. Okay, cool. Or Beck went to them and said, hey, I want to be in an episode.
They went to Beck and they said it was one of the easiest guest appearances they've ever secured.
Yeah.
They went to Beck, said we want to use it. He's like, yeah.
They went to Bob Dylan first, right?
Yeah.
Okay, but
Bob Dylan wouldn't even do the Nobel Prize. I don't think he's
I
going
was
to
going
do
to say, like, all right, we're going to get you on a cartoon show. What are you talking about?
No, that's his Achilles heel. He loves Futurama.
Loves Futurama.
Like, imagine when you approached Vice President Al Gore and he says, yes, it's one of my favorite
such a
things
good
to watch.
sport.
And you go like, please, wait, what did he say?
You're prepared for like, it's like, look, we're going to offer you more money. It's like, I'd like to do, no, good, for the love of God, Beck, just listen, we need you for this episode. I'm happy to do it. No, Beck, please.
You do it. Take back the more money.
I just thought that the folk singer aspect of Futurama was introduced in the series as Landed.
Yeah.
The second episode ever, and they just kept tying it in.
Yeah.
It's just Maiden on the head. If he has it anywhere else, he's
gonna get
immune.
And he had to pick up I Love Men.
I love
Yeah,
Maiden.
exactly. It's really like prominently in shot as well. You go like, okay then, cool.
And the censors are like, I'll allow that.
It is San Francisco after all.
When he's about to get executed by magnets.
Yeah.
That's another one that's
Oh,
where he does it.
yes.
Yeah. He gets all folky. Animation-wise, I think there's worth mentioning the chase scene, because San Francisco is such an iconic
Vibrant
city.
driving down those like big hills.
The Starsky and Hutch levels of like,
and Bullet, I think.
Yes, Bullet with Steve McQueen. Yeah,
uses the streets of San Francisco. It's
iconic to do those.
to do this, and so I'm really glad that they do it.
and they have the hubcaps spinning off as well. When they use the hard turns.
It's one of those
like-
tropes.
Yeah.
And
You just know that's where the animators would be like, fuck yeah, let's do this.
Yeah.
This will be
this car
fun.
chase, yeah. And I love it when they go for those animation moments, and they don't have to have like gags in them or anything. It reminds me of the chase scene in the one where they go to the near Death Star, and they're like zipping around. It's got sort of a Star Warsy feel, but it's not necessarily
A clone of my own. There we go.
yeah. It's not necessarily kind of gagged. So this one's got they leap over the crest of the hill and they make a big cloud of smoke, and then
it's a slow motion, and then it
motion, and
continues
it
up.
hits the cloud of smoke, and that disperses when the bus. I think it's great. It's exciting. It looks visually exciting and pleasing. I love all that stuff.
It's also like there's a slight variation in the animation as well, because you see like the Volkswagen come up and it has that kind of like momentary slow glide.
Yeah.
But the hover car just kind of just goes like it's just in a permanent state of doing that. So it
hover, so it doesn't do the crunch.
Yeah,
as it
but
hits
like
the pavement.
that smoke moving is such a satisfying thing to
Oh,
see.
it's lovely,
Yeah.
isn't it?
So
very
beautiful.
nicely animated.
Tiny details in this episode that's great. No missing arms like last week.
Let's go on to a voice. Unless voice is going to be harder.
I mean, it has to be Cylon or Garfunkoid. Because Beck is Beck. We can't
Beck is
do
Beck. I mean, Beck's such an understated voice.
Yeah.
Just kind of
yeah.
American voice.
Yeah.
With kind of soft tone.
Also, Malfunctioning Eddie was briefly.
Yeah, Broken Robot. That's one of the first things he did once he got released from the asylum.
Yeah.
Went to see Beck like he's always wanted to.
Say what you will about broken robots, they are very easy to break down
And he
into
didn't
paperweights
explode.
very quickly.
Well, because he's now got medication.
Yeah.
yeah. It's controlling the tiny explosions.
Yeah.
Voices. Who do we have? Yeah, just
Cylon and Garfunkel. Is there any other? There's the hick from the concert.
Jello Knuckles.
There'll be 3 pictures of George Washington.
Oh, it's the Jello Knuckles. I
Yes.
was wondering what they
Jello
said. there.
Knuckles.
Yeah, Jello Knuckles. And I'm like, I every time I see that, I'm like, oh, that's
What
terrifying.
is a Jello knuckle?
I think I'm pretty certain it's like the meat between the knuckles. that they're referring to.
They looked like disgusting poplars.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're like more like undercooked poplars.
Yeah, raw poplars.
Just the creatures.
Yeah. the zygote.
young.
It's the zygotes of poplars.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's not for shock horror. There's not really a.
Yeah, this is it's a dud for voices this
It's
week.
not
isn't
good,
it?
is
No.
it? There's just not enough new characters in this
No.
one
Yeah.
to do
I really need
episodes
to be,
of.
like-
And it's worrying because this is going to be a trend like coming up because it's going to be a few episodes where there's no new characters.
No, I think there's a few where we've had several guest characters come in one episode, so we've had to choose one. So I've got the unenviable task of going back through
and
all
see
of
who we
them
didn't
and make a
do.
list. I think we should probably do that because it'll probably be like, we've never done Leela. Which, come to think of it, I don't think we have.
already haven't done
Then when you
most of the
realise
main
you've never done
cast.
Farnsworth.
All right, well, let's
a
just
Futurama.
scooch away from that and let us go to a
Scooch
Votey
towards
McVote
this.
vote. So we got Insane in the mainframe versus Bendon in the wind.
Oh my god! For me, this episode's more fun than that one. They're both great episodes. I think I'm suffering. I think a little bit from proximity bias.
Yeah.
like I watched this just now, and I'm on a high from it because it was so much fun. One of the things about this episode is I remember seeing it on TV, and I remember loving it then, and having watched it again today and going, oh yes, I remember loving this episode and I love it just as much now. So-
I'll be the first to oppose you. I'm still on Insane in the Mainframe, and it's actually one of my current favorite episodes of Futurama. And for me, it's just the amalgamation of the guest character Roberto, and all the jokes that tie onto each other. You're engaged in this robot world, and we've got all just the little visual gags, and kind of everything was there for a purpose. And it just felt to me like a seamlessly, expertly created episode that I remember laughing more. One for one.
James.
Oh my god.
You see, that's why I named you, so you have to say it next. Pen us a word picture.
Do I love this episode? Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Do I have anything bad to say about this episode? Not really. It's pretty solid. Both A and B stories are so tied together well. Like, I mean, did I laugh as much as I did in the other one?
I just hope there's like an audience member being like, yes,
Yes.
It's the Dora the Explorer part. It's like, did I enjoy it?
Yes. For fuck's sake. I feel like Monty Python when the fish are yelling, yes, it is. Check it. It's in his pants. It's in his pants.
What's your gut say? Insane or wind?
Well, guts say wind, Sean. I'm in a similar boat.
Insane.
Would you like us? Would you like to talk it out? Us both
Yeah, let's
talking
talk
out.
it out. What do you
Okay,
think?
I am personally. Guys, don't listen to this. We're just talking this out for
I'm
ourselves.
deaf in the ears. Okay.
So I'm leaning towards Insane in the Mainframe because they're both very similar. They both tackle issues of like difficulties with robots, difficulties with people, insanity, disabilities. Both focus on the other person. So Fry becoming broken, Bender becoming broken. Both have plots that are perfectly tied into one another.
They do.
Touches of tiny detail to animation. But I think having Beck, as much as I love it, ruins Beck in this. It's great, but I like the idea of having a character that isn't an established person. So that's the reason I allow
I think
that.
it's just not quite as. It's a bit easier to just have a
Yeah.
celebrity in there, and you can kind of
Yeah.
shortcut some of
Don't
the
get me wrong,
creativity.
I adore that Beck is in this episode, and I find it hilarious. But like, I'm just talking about my thought process.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand that. I think I'll have to agree. Yeah.
I'm not disappointed by that at
It's-
all.
Yeah.
Like,
It's a really tough decision.
Super
I
tough.
really like this
Yeah.
episode.
What you're saying is you are super offended and you hate us all.
yeah, I'm not being on the show next time.
No.
We're gonna have to vote you off.
The island, the torches. This is one of those few times where these episodes feel wonderful in tandem. Like if you were to watch them back to back.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if you watched
Insane in the Mainframe.
Insane in the Mainframe and Bend It in the Wind, you'd have a great
Are we
hour and a
working-
half.
are we
Like, you
working
would
out
have
a-
a great time.
Are we working out a smash order now? So it's like,
Yeah.
these are the order of Futurama that you should watch.
Or basically
just the hits.
cut all the fat and just watch. This is the real season. There's only one season, and it just has the
If you
best
just had
episode.
to, if you just had to put it down to one season of Futurama, just
Episode, you cobbled
best of.
together a season. Yeah.
And a lot of the ones that have been considered best of as well have those underlying themes that either give good backstory to one of the characters or throwbacks to previous episodes which are kind of in that same vein. So you could get that one season and you're like, oh, these are all connected, as opposed to being feeling like monster of the week.
What is next week?
Well, next week is we're going to be teaming up with the guys at One Good Thing once again, and an important episode in Time Keeps on Slippin'. The introduction of Bubblegum Tate and the Harlem Globetrotters.
From Planet...
Wait,
Expert mathematicians.
Yes.
no, I don't think it's the introduction, is it? Have we already had them?
Well, you're the researcher, so you
Yeah.
tell us.
Well, you've watched them with
Sean,
me.
record it right here and put it in post, whether or not this is their first introduction.
Grr.
Mop.
I'm just really hoping it's just like a really like either you being like, actually, it is the first time, or actually, it's like, no, this is the first time.
I have a feeling they've maybe been in it before, but
Yeah, well, we'll find out. Tune in next week to find out. But in the meantime, if you like to keep in contact with us, contact babybeardmedia@gmail.com.
Find us on social media, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
Or just subscribe. There's YouTube. Check us out. There's a video version and there's a mystery bender. It's in a different spot every time.
episode.
Whoa, that's so wacky.
And if you enjoyed, feel free to give us a thumbs up, 5 stars, 3 chalices of maroon, and share it, tell a friend, have it shared with us. We like you, you like us, hopefully.
And in the meantime of liking each other, I have been Sean.
I've been Phil.
I've been James.
And I've been Josh. Goodbye.
Bye.
Yeah, just want to get him before Phil again. I was like, this is the game now.
Is he alive?
Yeah.
He's a head in a jar. He weighs 8 pounds.
What's he doing now? Like, anything?
Music.
It's just funny that he's shitting a brick. Like he's shitting out bricks.
Because his potato chips are so hard and old.
Yeah, like that's their idea of a solid poo.
Yeah.
For a robot.
What would
For a
what would a
robot,
robot poop?
It would block.
I don't know. I feel like
it.
it's like a massive laxative effect having something that old.
I was going to say, can we just do one thing from
Because
Friends?
Stuart's there.
Because what?
Because Stuart's about to walk through the door.
All right, we can wait.
Let's just do that one thing from Friends so we can all get it on film. It's like, no one told you life was gonna be this way. You suck, Sean.
Who stuffed up the lyrics then?
I think I was over here somewhere.
That was over there.
The Dudley Do Right movie, I loved.
so good.
Loved it.
Eric Idle's in it as well.
Yeah.
All right, I'm rating this in because I have to sift through this.
Okay.
But that's it.
Yeah, I forgot my line as well.
I've written down my line.
Wrote it down?
Written down.